Hey guys, welcome back to more Entitled People stories. In this video, a bunch of tyrannical cops raided my property and kicked in my door while I was taking a bath. They claimed it was an honest mistake. And the title story starts like this. I live here in Chicago, Illinois, and although I think it's a great city, it has its ups and downs, one of them being the crime. And by the way, Ripe Stars, I'm so sorry if you hear rain in the background, but at the moment, there's a lot of rain going on here in Thailand. So anyway, I live in a 12-story apartment complex on the south side of the city. It's fairly safe, the roads are nice, and the people are generally friendly, well, except for the cops. And believe me, the cops are usually the last people you would think would do this. I was sitting in my apartment one day, off from work, just enjoying my time, reading a magazine and watching some TV, when I heard this strange noise coming down from the hallway. I go outside and open my door to see what it is, and now I find this man running down the hallway, thumping into the walls and acting bad crap crazy for no reason. He did not turn around to see me, and I don't think he suspected that I opened the door, but he then slammed his apartment door, and when I look down the other end of the hallway, I see a cop standing by the doorway talking to somebody from the other side of the door, but I couldn't see who it was. To make matters even crazier, he actually had a SWAT team vest on with a barrier blocker, you know, the ones they use to keep back protesters. I have no idea what they call those, but I hear they are pretty heavy. They do some pretty big damage. Needless to say, it was all very crazy. I thought that the guy was gonna get arrested or something, but I'll go ahead and just gently close my door and lock it and put the safety bolt on it. I ended up going back and sitting down on my couch, take a deep breath and just figure like maybe somebody down the hallway was getting arrested, or maybe there was some sort of commotion going on and somebody called the cops to handle it. No big deal, right? About 30 minutes go by, I realized that I have not showered, but instead I wanted to go ahead and just take a bath. So I slipped into my robe, got some undies from my drawer and put on my favorite Enya music with some bath bombs to go with it. I was ecstatic to try my new slippers and to try out my new candles and bath goods that I just recently purchased. Lately, work has been really stressful for me and I just needed to take some time off and just enjoy my day. Well, I was wrong. About 10 minutes into the bath, I hear this loud thumping down the hall. It happened kind of frequently, like really quick, and then it stopped, and then it would start again, and the sound would get closer and closer. And then for about 5 minutes it was really silent. That's when I brushed it off as maybe a loud neighbor rolling their portable hand roller for groceries down the hall. Sometimes I would hear that and I would think nothing of it, and that's when I close my eyes and before I can even take a full breath, I hear this loud BAM coming from my doorway. It almost sounded like a bomb going off. I leaped out of my bath thinking that somebody had maybe broken in and that I was gonna be robbed or something. It was terribly frightening. I could then hear footsteps entering my apartment, like numerous footsteps like I'd heard outside in the hallway. I cracked open my door to see what was going on and hoped that I would not be the next victim of some crazy-ass homicide that takes place every now and then in my own city. The next thing I know, there's a gun pointed at my head and I hear a loud, "Freeze! Get down now! On your knees! Get down!" The next thing I'm thinking is like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, and this is it. I just couldn't believe that this would be the time and place that I'd just literally taken a bath, I'm in my bathrobe with no clothes on, and here are these cops storming my apartment. The SWAT team is raiding my apartment, and I have no idea why. At this point my face is planted on the cold tile floor of my bathroom and I can see out of the corner of my eye the SWAT team approaching me and some of them going in each room and clearing each area. One of the SWAT team members said, "Clear," as they guided another down the hallway of my apartment and into another room with their guns. I was absolutely terrified and couldn't believe that this was happening to me. One of the cops reads off my rights and I could have sworn that I was being arrested, but they did not put handcuffs on me. Instead, they pointed the gun at my face and I sort of moved my face and I thought that they thought that I was gonna get up and do something, so he planted the gun even closer to my face and I started bawling my eyes out. The cop continues to read my rights to me and finally he cuffs me and moves me into my living room where I have to stand face to face with these other two cops and there's so much commotion going on, I have no idea, I couldn't even focus. The next thing I know, I'm being transported to a SWAT team vehicle outside at my apartment entrance. There are two other cops in a vehicle and they both take me and set me down on the bench inside the vehicle and take my cuffs off. Then they tie my hands and put me in a restraining set, which is basically a better way to put the criminals inside a vehicle without them having to use cuffs. So at this point I'm basically pinned to the wall of this vehicle, sitting at the bench fearing for my life, bawling my eyes out and generally wondering what the hell is going on. I start asking the cops that are seated in the vehicle, "What the hell is going on? You've got the wrong person." One of the cops just stared at me and didn't say anything, and the other one told me, "Ma'am, you have a right to a lawyer and you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say and do can be used in a court of law." At this point I'm super infuriated and wonder what the hell is going on. Did I just get arrested for no reason? Did they have the wrong apartment or something? I could hear commotion going outside the vehicle and 2 other police officers approached the van. I'm still bawling my eyes out and just plain fearing for my life because I've heard stories of people getting wrongfully accused and arrested for no reason and being attacked by cops and actually killed by them. I mean, it's all in the news these days that you hear them, so I wouldn't be surprised if I was the next victim. The officer that read my rights approached me and started talking to the other officer that was in the vehicle. They both start talking to each other, but to be honest, I could not even hear them because I was so focused on getting out of there and alarmed at what had just happened. Mind you, I'm still in my bathrobe. At this point, I still have no idea what the hell is going on. They had read me my rights and I had seemed to be arrested, but why? Moments later, the SWAT team leaves the entire vehicle, I hear sirens blaring out in the background and I hear loud noises. I thought, what the hell is going on here? Did a bomb just go off? Did somebody get shot? Minutes later it was almost like time stood still sitting in the SWAT vehicle. I hear a faint noise like a two-way radio going off and it's a cop saying that they have the wrong apartment. What the hell? Then this other cop approaches me from the SWAT team, he must have been in charge or something, and he tells me, "Ma'am, we are very sorry, we've got the wrong apartment, you've been falsely put under arrest." I told him that he needed to take the restraints off me and I asked him what apartment and he said 2 blocks over. But now I'm thinking, oh man, this is not gonna go down in court very well. Fast forward a few weeks later and I'm sitting in the Chicago DEA office talking to one of the lawyers with my lawyer because I pressed charges for emotional and mental distress, invasion of privacy and other related damages. My lawyer about had a field day with them. What's even worse though is that after that incident I wasn't really able to trust the cops after that. It took me a really long time to actually know that I was safe and that I was taken care of outside of my home and even inside of my home. Months after my court date I finally found a sense of renewal and a peace. I was awarded a just sum of money from the DEA who handled the case. I ended up suing the local Chicago police for breaking down my door and causing this whole mess. I'm just glad that I was not shot or killed, it could have been worse. I moved out of my apartment to a nicer neighborhood in Chicago as well, and I'm moving on now. And here, Ripe Stars, honestly, after an incident like this, the really sad thing is that many people just lose trust in the police, even though they should be there to protect us. But honestly, I cannot blame OP after something like this happening to not be trusting the police anymore. Anyway, the next one is titled Haircut Nightmare. This just happened maybe 5 minutes ago and I'm scrambling trying to figure out what to do before the police are called. I'm living off campus with a roommate that I was paired with through our college. We had a disagreement about her paying her portion of the bills and rent on time and her boyfriend basically living here without our landlord's permission. Which violates our lease, by the way. Well, everything seemed to be fine later on, so we are hanging out in my room and she asks me to braid her hair. Afterwards, she does offer to braid mine. She goes to grab hair ties or something. I'm not paying attention as I'm on my phone. Well, apparently she actually grabbed scissors and decided to cut my hair as revenge for pissing her off. I'm expecting her to braid my hair when suddenly right next to my ear, she cuts a huge chunk of my hair off. I freak out and instinctively turn around while batting her hand away. Her hand flies into her face and the scissors cut her cheek quite deeply. They are expensive shears, so I guess they were very sharp. Now she is saying that I assaulted her and threatened to call the police. I told her I'd give her the money she wanted and we didn't have to call the police, but I had to pawn some things, so I needed a minute to gather some stuff to sell to get the money. I just did this to buy some time, I'm not giving her crap. So Reddit, do I wait for her to call the police and explain when they get here? I considered calling the police first, but I don't want to incriminate myself. I really did not mean for her to get hurt. All I did was turn around and push her hand away before I could even process that she had shears in her hand. Either way, I don't want to live with this psycho anymore. Is there anything I can do? I have a copy of our lease that I'm gonna look over. We are on one lease, but she's just a co-signer, as she was 17 when we signed the lease and has since turned 18. Our lease is up in August. Also, this might sound stupid, but she ran off with my chunk of hair. Can the police make her give it back to me? It's very long and I would at least like to donate it, as I will have to cut the rest of my hair to match, since this psycho had 1/3 of my hair in her hand. Thank you so much. And yeah, Ripe Stars, let me know what you would have done in this situation. Honestly, if someone cuts someone else's hair, that is clearly assault, and honestly, that's nothing to laugh about. That's a serious situation. Anyway, let me know what you would have done in the comments, and now let's read the update. Jack crap happened. I called the 911 line right after I posted this, and they sent out 2 officers. I made the mistake of telling my roommate that I'd called the police and that she had committed assault. She must have realized that it looked pretty bad and rethought her strategy. She disappeared into the bathroom for a while until the police got here, and when she came out her hair was cut, but like a real haircut instead of hack job that she gave me. The officers separated us and got our sides of the story. She told them that we had agreed to cut each other's hair and that she pulled a little prank and decided to cut my hair a bit shorter than originally planned. I got freaked out, and that is how she got cut. She convinced them that she had apologized, but I was looking for a way to get her out of the house and was lying. She showed them our text where she just asks if I want to do her hair without specifying what we were doing, and all the earlier text where we were fighting about money and how I threatened to get the landlord involved. She even showed them the hair in the trash can. I guess my story sounded less believable with all the evidence against me, and in the end they did not seem to give a damn. They said this was a civil matter, and as long as she didn't feel assaulted, that they were done. I did not want to press my luck and get arrested, so I kept my mouth shut. So I was treated like a criminal, and now this insane girl is outside my room threatening to destroy all my crap. I recorded some of her rampage through the door, and I'm collecting any messages that sound even remotely threatening that her and her boyfriend have sent me. I'm taking pictures of all of my stuff in case she destroys my property. The office for the apartment just closed, so I cannot go to my landlord until tomorrow, and I don't have any way to contact him directly. What the hell do I do now? Can I go to the police station and file a report even though the police just came here and decided to believe her? Update to the story, I just want to thank you all for your help and advice. If I had not posted here, I probably would have waited for my roommate, referred to as Jane from here to avoid confusion, to call the cops, which almost definitely would have screwed me as Jane turned to be scary good at lying and manipulating. So basically yesterday I got off Reddit and got to collecting evidence and making a script so I knew exactly what to say when I went to talk to the police again. My neighbor that we share a wall with came over after hearing Jane flipping out, and I explained everything. Neighbor offered to watch my cat and said that she would call me if it seemed like Jane was gonna do anything crazy while I went to the station. I packed all my most valuable things in my car, took pictures of everything else, and then recorded a quick video of me telling Jane that I was going out and she didn't have permission to go in my room or touch my things just in case she wrecked something, and said that I did it or something, I don't know. I basically told the police about everything and brought my copy of the police report and showed them harassing messages Jane had sent in the past, messages proving that we often braid each other's hair, probably unnecessary, but I was trying to prove that I agreed to let her braid my hair and I'd never let her cut it, and prove that I'm a cosmetology student, freelance makeup artist and occasional hair model, so I would never let someone who is not trained cut my hair, and that it is an important part of my job and hobby. The officers I spoke to this time surprisingly took me seriously, but before I could even finish talking to them, my neighbor texted me a video of Jane tossing my open train case onto the corner and stomping on some of my very expensive makeup as it falls out. I'm an idiot and forgot the one thing that is important to my livelihood right now in the bathroom, but I was in a hurry and grabbed my personal makeup without thinking. Details aside, the crazy girl tossed out thousands of dollars worth of my property, 2 new officers escorted me back to my apartment, and when we got there, Jane immediately turned on the waterworks. Surprisingly, she was cooperative and left with one officer to talk at the station, I guess while the other helped me scare away the vultures trying to steal my makeup off of the street and bring it back inside. I noticed my prescribed Wellbutrin and Xanax bottles were missing from the bathroom. I know, stupid place to keep them, but who the hell steals Wellbutrin? And the officer said they would question her. So I didn't hear anything after that, but this morning I looked at the public records for my county and saw Jane's mugshot with charges for assault with a deadly weapon and malicious mischief. Or mischief, I always mispronounce that. Anyway, I guess she had been booked last night. But I checked Facebook a bit ago and Jane had posted a truly classy selfie, middle finger and all, so her doing that, does it mean that she's posted bail? Anyways, I brought all this info and the police reports to my landlord this morning and he pretty much told me, tough shit. He said I still need to have the full rent payment and that if Jane wouldn't willingly move out, he couldn't evict her without evicting me too, since we are on one lease. Do I just need to pay for everything and then sue her in small claims court? What do I do about all my damaged cosmetics? The police are aware of Jane damaging my stuff, but I have not heard anything back as of yet. I'm totally lost as to what happens now. Will this go to court and will I need to attend? Are the police gonna get back to me as to what I need to do next? They took my statement, but that's it. The good news is that she's not allowed on campus at the college we both go to until this is settled, and if she returns I will try another campus nearby. Also, she has not attempted to come back to the apartment, and if she does, I have a friend here with me. My landlord said I have to let Jane in if she returns though, even if I get a protective order. That sounds like BS, and I have an appointment on Monday to talk to a lawyer who will hopefully help me figure out what to do next. I would like for it to be sooner, but it's free legal consultation through my college. So I guess they are busy. Anyway, sorry to ramble, I'm just not sure what to expect until I can speak with a lawyer. Another update, well, this is not a very interesting update, but I figured you guys would like to know that justice was sort of served. So basically, everything happened much quicker than I anticipated and it's all settled. Also, I'm not sure how much detail I should give since this all just happened, but basically, Jane took a plea bargain, not sure if this is the correct terminology, and pled guilty to misdemeanor assault and destruction of property. I'm a bit upset that she pretty much just got a slap on the wrist with the sentence and fine she received, but I suppose it's worth it because she cooperated in breaking our lease. I filed for a restraining order against her and filed a claim with my insurance company for my damaged and stolen makeup, which was thankfully covered by my renter's insurance. Jane's parents moved all of her stuff out of the apartment yesterday and gave me a little money to cover her portion of the rent that she owes me. It was not nearly enough, but they seem like surprisingly nice people and I feel bad that they have to deal with such a nutcase of a daughter. I found a new roommate and we are signing a new lease this week, so aside from being flat effing broke now and getting an unwanted haircut, everything turned out alright. And yeah, ripe stars, I gotta say, this roommate was absolutely ridiculous, but I guess in the end justice was sort of served, so that is definitely satisfying and good to hear. Honestly, you never know what you will get with a new roommate, so I'm very glad that I don't have roommates anymore. Good riddance. And the next one is another malicious compliance story. I had the unique displeasure of working in customer service over 7 years. My longest job was at a bowling alley in a mid-sized town. It was the high-end bowling alley in the town and thus attracted some pretty entitled people. While I got pretty good at zoning out their dumb requests and simply complying, there were a few times that malicious compliance was warranted. So, backstory, the bowling alley required people to purchase bowling by time, in other words $20 per hour, etc. So when I turned on the lane, the bowlers got a 5-minute buffer period in addition to their time purchased. Most of the time this was not an issue and people came and left with no issue. Upon request, however, people could get an extra 15 minutes for free in the case of mechanical issues or large groups that were in the 8th frame or higher. I bet you can imagine where this goes bad. So the main story, one day a family that consisted of a dad, 2 daughters and mother came in and started a tab with 1 hour. We let them open tabs since we had servers and food service too. The kids were younger, but I had seen this dad in the bowling alley before as he played in one of our leagues. He was one of those just snobby looking bowling guys with a rolling bowling bag, beat up bowling balls and huge belly that seemed to go in hand with the pro bowlers that came to this alley. He had scammed a lot of free stuff from us before and we had actually been warned about him as employees. Fast forward an hour and his time is almost up when all of a sudden I hear a large crash. It was the sound that a bowling ball makes when it hits the sweep that wipes the pins off the lane. There's a small window of time that a bowler can hit the sweep while it's clearing pins, and of course the dad I discussed earlier was the one that hit it. He comes bumbling over and tells me the lane is broken. I could clearly see that the lane was broken because the lane monitor screen had the code for a jammed arm. I apologized while holding back the barf in my mouth and called the mechanic. After doing that, he demanded 15 minutes of free time since he had to wait for the mechanic to fix the lane, which took 2 minutes. Since it was his first incident, I gave it to him. That was my first mistake. This happened again a second time when his time was getting low as he had just started a new game. He came bumbling over and did the same routine. I regrettably gave the second set of time to him for free and then he went away. As you may have guessed, it happened a third time. This time, however, I decided to charge him for the 15 minutes since I knew what he was up to, and our policy, posted on the front counter that every customer agrees to, specifically states that we only give 15 minutes for free, and on the fourth time the guy came over again and I charged him again. This happened a total of 5 times and I charged him for 3. When he finally decided to pay out, he saw his bill and got furious. He came thundering over to me and barked at me, saying that I was wrong and that he needed to see my manager. When my manager came out, he gave his side of the story, which of course was about how I was an idiot and that our lanes break way too easily. I then gave my side and calmly explained that I gave him more free time than our policy stated and that due to his continued requests for more time, I gave it to him at cost. My manager then asked to see the tab and looked through it. Not only did my manager agree that I was right, but he also made the guy pay for the second set of 15 minutes that I had originally given to him for free. My manager cited our policy and told the man what he needed to pay. After some intense yelling, the guy cursed us out, vowed to never come back, and left. He came back for League 3 days later. He knew what he was doing that day and was just mad he got caught. The next one is titled Garbage Issues. I worked in civil services in one of the most dangerous cities in my state. A city of only 300,000 but with 2 or 3 murders a month and violent crime several times a day, every day. So, while I understand little things can be annoying, the city has more important things to do than paying somebody to drive 25 minutes across town to deal with ridiculous neighborhood bickering, especially when there were not enough hours in the day to help all the people who called with actual problems. That being said, the city had a policy of responding to every single citizen's call regardless of how stupid and wasteful it was. One day, a call came across my computer from an anonymous caller. I will call her Petty Betty, reporting the neighbor across the street that had left their empty garbage cans at the curb for 4 hours after pickup, and the caller demanded the owner be cited for it. The caller was listed as refused and non-contact, which means just like it sounds. The person wanted me to do their dirty work, but were too chicken crap to speak to me like an adult about their concerns. So across town I drove, and as I barely slowed down while driving past the offending cans, I cleared the call by typing, "Yes, can confirm. There are in fact 2 cans sitting in the gutter as described, but cannot confirm with non-contact RP what time garbage was picked up, so call closed." Also noted numerous other unrelated cans left out in the neighborhood. About 10 minutes go by and another call comes in from irate Petty Betty stating she had watched me drive away without even stopping to do my job and investigate things. Betty knows the law and demands the homeowner be cited for the eyesore. She even mentioned the correct obscure city ordinance stating cans could not be out 4 hours after pickup. Oh boy, you sure caught me, Betty, so back I go. This time I get out, and as I am pulling the cans back 3 whole feet so they are on the owner's grass and in technical compliance, I give a little finger wave towards Betty's home just so she knows that I know that she is peeping out the curtains, and then I leave. Not the most professional thing to do, but there was no way I was citing some poor neighbor for stupid garbage cans, but I was over it and on to other things without another thought. But like an annoying gnat that won't leave you alone, a few minutes later I get a private heads-up message from a concerned coworker that Petty Betty was calling to file a complaint with my supervisor. And sure enough, later that day I had a good laugh when my supervisor blamed me for making him snort laugh as Petty Betty described my passive-aggressive wave towards her house, and it pissed her off that he didn't care about the cans either. Now the super petty revenge part. Every time I drove by that house and the cans were out, I stopped to move them to the edge of the lawn just to piss off Petty Betty, and I waved each and every time. I hope she saw me. Edit: I should have been more clear about the stupid 4-hour thing. It's an obscure, never used ordinance, and in all my years there, this was the one and only time I ever heard or thought about it. The only reason I moved the cans was to make a point and to piss Petty Betty off. And yeah guys, if you cannot get enough of my content, please don't forget to check out my podcast by searching for Ripe Stories on all major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Apple or Google Podcasts. Furthermore, you can find bonus content by going to patreon.com/ripeyoutube or by clicking the join button here on YouTube. For a small monthly fee, you will get access to dozens and dozens of exclusive videos you won't find anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.